Good morning, everybody. It is live. It is time for you to start registering for Dream for All. I am super excited. I feel like we've waited a year for this day. It's Christmas, and I'm just so excited. I am ready to make this happen for you. Hold on one second. It looks like I got some problems with posting. Oh, no, it won't go to Facebook. All right. Oh, I get it. Okay. Well, hold on one second. I need to fix something really quickly here. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to fix this. All right. Let's get rid of that. Delete. And hold on one second. I promise I'm almost done, but Facebook didn't like something that I was doing. So let's get rid of that and delete. And let's get rid of that and delete. And let's get rid of that and delete. Thank you for all of you who are here live. My apologies for the delay, but Facebook didn't like me. And now it looks like I should be able to fix that. So let's go live on Facebook on these guys. And there, and there, and there. Love it. All right, I'm here. I'm ready. We're live. All right. So thank you for your patience. I have so much good information for you today, so much new information for you today on the launch day for California Dream for All. I was hoping to do this morning at maybe 9:30 or 10 o'clock. Took me longer to get in. There was definite delays today. Portal was not being happy, but I got screenshots of everything and I want to show you everything. But I'm going to start out with some new information, some super exciting information. And then I'm going to walk you through the entire process of how to use the portal. I've got screenshots so that you know exactly what to expect, what information to have ready, and what to go through. So here we go. First of all, Dream for All registration portal process tutorial. The first thing is you have to go to CalHAFA's website. So calhafa.ca.gov is where you're going to go. I'll make this, well, you got the website. If you don't have it, email me and I can get it for you. And then you're going to click right here in the middle and you're going to go to CalHAFA Dream for All. Just search for CalHAFA, C-A-L-H-F-A. You can get to their website. Right on here, you're going to click CalHAFA Dream for All. You're going to get to this page. This page is the page that has all of CalHAFA's information about Dream for All. So from this page, you're going to click this registration voucher down here at the bottom. So register for voucher. See that right down here at the bottom right? That's what you're going to click on to get to the next page. The next page is the page that none of us have seen yet. And so this is the new page that is coming up today. This was delayed. I had issues getting into this. I had issues getting into other pages. I think there's going to be a lot of delays today. A lot of people trying to get into the system. But this page basically goes through all of the information that you need. And I'll go through what this page does, but I'm going to divert really quick and give you some new information that they provided up here in the top left corner as a button that says Help Center. So I clicked on the Help Center in the top left corner, and it took me to a page called Frequently Asked Questions. Well, I'll tell you, these are some questions that I've asked frequently, and I went through every single one of these questions, and I pulled them up on the screen, and we're going to talk about them right now. So the first thing is, how do I start the voucher process? Clearly, they're telling us to begin the voucher process, navigate to apply now. If you previously created an account, so once you create your account the first time, and I'll show you how to use that, then use the email address that you originally logged in on. That one's pretty simple. All right. Which borrower in my household should create an account for the Dream for All portal? It's recommended the primary voucher do it, and the email associated with the account will receive all notifications. That's critical. First thing, you're going to get notifications that might ask you to upload more documentation or notification that you were selected. Use the email address that you're going to be monitoring the most. And when they say primary borrower, they're talking about the person we listed first on the loan application. So you want to list whoever is the first person listed on the loan application is recommended as who you put into the system to create the account as the primary borrower, and make sure whatever email address you use, it's one that everybody watches regularly or somebody watches regularly so that you can get any updates. Okay, now, second FAQ, how can I access my voucher application? If you started an application, just go in and log in. So you start it once you get the registration email. Quick tip, today I had to click the button to register 3 times before it accepted and told me it sent me the email. So it's definitely buggy today. What should I use the portal for? To create the voucher, to upload information. It is not a guarantee that you're going to be getting selected, obviously. And then the fourth question here, where do I find the email containing my temporary password? It gets emailed to you. There was a little bit of a delay. Double check your spam folders. Obviously, that stuff is pretty straightforward. What do I need to upload? You should have received an email for a California. Okay. Sorry, guys. I didn't read all of these ahead of time. Basically, it is saying you need your pre-approval letter that you got from me. If you didn't get it from me, it's worthless. Just kidding. Only a little bit. But whoever gave you your pre-approval letter, it's got to be the Dream for All pre-approval letter. On the top, it needs to say California Dream for All pre-approval letter. So critical that you have the correct letter. Now, one of the things people have been asking is they saw a list saying, hey, you've got to have ID, and it gives you multiple types of ID, multiple examples. You only need one per person. So you don't need to have a driver's license and a passport and a something else. Each borrower is required to provide one valid form of ID. You do not need to upload multiple forms of ID per person. All right, this is the most exciting part. If you listen to nothing else, the tutorial I'm going to go through is great, but this is the new information that I didn't expect, like literally did not expect. Here's what's going on. So first of all, the first one isn't the breaking news. It's the second one. The first one says, how do I cancel a voucher? Given that your application is in one of the following statuses, voucher issued, voucher reissued. What? Voucher reissued? Super excited about that. Extension requested or extended. What? Yeah. So if you're in any one of those statuses, you should see a cancel voucher button on your dashboard, and you can click and confirm that you're canceling your voucher. Why would you want to cancel your voucher? Let me close this for a second and talk to you. Why would you ever want to cancel your voucher? Because we're all playing in the same sandbox. If you bought already, if you submitted a voucher request now and your perfect home comes into the market on May 10th, and you write an offer and you get the offer accepted and you complete that transaction, and you are the owner by June 1st. And then you find out a little while later that you were selected and you got a voucher. Do the right thing. Cancel your voucher. Don't let it just sit there for 90 days because you're not going to use it. Let it go to somebody else. The minute you cancel it, it'll go to somebody else. If you find that you don't qualify for the loan, something happens, you didn't use me for your pre-approval, or if rates go up and you're not qualified for the price range you want, or you've just decided your job is moving you to Kansas, and you don't want, there's no Kansas Dream for All, just so you know, there's no Kansas Dream for All. But if you're in that position where you know you're not going to use it, do the right thing and let somebody else have it. So that's where you would cancel your reservation, and you have the ability to do that. And I do encourage everybody, let's not hang on to it just because. Okay. All right. Here's the big one. I'm going to make this bigger. Like it's the big one. It's so big, I'm going to make it all bigger, which is the second one. What does the voucher expiration date mean? The voucher expiration date is your deadline to lock your loan. So I had given some fuzzy information. It had told me you had to register by that date. Now it's saying you have to lock by that date. If you were listening to my webinar on Monday night, I made a really big deal about this, saying, look, it may say that we have to register by that date, but I'm going to make sure that we're locked because I don't want any chances that they're going to say, oh no, you had to lock by then. Guess what? Buried in the FAQs that nobody reads except me. That's why you're watching me. It says you have to lock by that date. But here's the deal. Vouchers with a status of issued or voucher reissued will be eligible for an initial 90-day extension if you're within 30 days of the expiration dates. The updated expiration date after voucher extension will be your final expiration date. So let me talk about that for a minute. Guys, we thought you were going to have 90 days to find a home. We thought that if you couldn't find a home in 90 days, you immediately lose the voucher and it goes to somebody else. Cal Haffa is saying you have 6 months to find a home. The people who are selected for the first round of vouchers, they have 90 days to find a home. And within the final 30 days, you have the option to click the button to request an extension. Now, this does not say an extension is guaranteed, but I can't imagine why they wouldn't give you an extension if you didn't have a property and you wanted to extend. Like, that's my thought. That's why they have it here. Now, maybe the extension's because you were in contract on a home and you had to cancel it after your voucher expired, but it's pretty clear they're saying that you have to do it within 30 days of your expiration date that you have to request an extension. This is music to my ears because this means you have more time than we thought. Now, again, I haven't heard anything more from CalHFA than what I just read, but the fact that they're even willing to give an extra 90-day extension is huge. So if you are a winner, you get your voucher, you will have a 90-day deadline, but within the last 30 days, they're telling us you have the ability to request an extension, and they're saying that extension will give you 90 more days to find a home, and that is your final expiration date. So that is number one new information that I got this morning that I'm super excited about. There's another Easter egg. There's another benefit. There's another new information in here that I'll talk about in just a second. All right, so third FAQ says the voucher is in issued or reissued status. What does that mean? It means you have an active voucher. Go find a home, okay? You can use that voucher towards your loan. If you are in that status, then contact your loan officer. That's me. At your earliest convenience, not convenience, at your earliest ability to use the voucher for your loan application. But you got to contact your realtor at that moment. So the status is going to say voucher issued or reissued. You need to make sure you let me know immediately because I'm not going to know. They're not going to tell me. They're not going to tell your lender. They're going to tell you and only you. Make sure you know that. Make sure that you're checking regularly. And once you get that golden ticket, we have to start shopping. But now it looks like we have 90 days, and then you can request an extension for another 90 days. Super excited about that. All right, last one of these FAQs. My voucher is in the status used. What does that mean? It means your loan has been locked using that voucher and you can't use it again. So hopefully you used it and not somebody that has your same name that somehow got your voucher ID. I don't know. I'm not sure how they're double checking it, but status used says, hey, this has been redeemed. You cannot use it again to lock a loan. All right, more on the FAQs. My voucher is in the cancel status. It means you click the button to cancel your voucher. Now, when you click a button, it prompts you saying, please confirm that you understand once you cancel your voucher, you will no longer have a voucher issued on your application. You are not guaranteed another voucher or a spot on the wait list. So as much as I'm telling you, I want you to cancel your voucher if you're not going to use it, do not cancel your voucher if you think you still are going to use the money, because it doesn't mean you can then re-get it again. All right. By the way, I encourage questions. I always encourage questions on my lives. Oops, hold on. Nope, wrong direction. All right. So now, and I have a question. So let's go ahead and pull up my question. Kiera, how are you? In regards to finding a home, if we did Dream for All using a builder's preferred lender, can we combine Dream for All with the builder's incentive? That's a great question. That's up to the builder. So some builders' incentives give you a lower interest rate. Well, you can't combine that because what the builder did is they bought a block of loans at a low interest rate, but you have to use the builder's block of money. And CalHFA's Dream for All program does not allow you to use the builder's block of money, to use any other money for the first mortgage if you're getting Dream for All money. You have to use money from CalHFA. So if the builder's incentive is a low interest rate because they pre-purchased a block of loans, you can't use that. If the builder says, hey, we're giving you 10 grand towards your closing costs, as long as the builder's lender is participating in Dream for All, they should let you utilize that same $10,000 credit towards closing costs. I know last year I saw lots of people buy using new construction where that was an option. So that is something for you to consider, for you to be aware of, that you need to ask the builder. You need to ask your builder's lender for that information and to see whether they'll let you do that. So guys, if you have questions, feel free to ask those questions. Kiara, hopefully I answered your question. Kieran, not Kiara, Kieran, my apology for mispronouncing your name. All right, let's go back to extension. So if it's canceled, we talk about that. Second on this list, my voucher's in the status extension requested. What does that mean? This means you've initiated the process of requesting an extension for your voucher expiration date. Please allow 24 hours for your request to be reviewed. Great news. It's only a day. Like, they're going to let you know within a day. So it's not going to take forever. If you haven't found a home in the first 60 days of your voucher and you know you're going to keep looking, we want to submit that extension request so that we get 90 extra days onto the end. And then if it's expired, if your voucher is in the expired status, it means your extension request, it means that your voucher extended. The extended status, that means that your extension request has been approved and you should receive an email that provides you a new and final expiration date. That tells me you get one extension only. You'll no longer be able to extend beyond that point. All right, let's keep going here. Not a California resident, but I'm planning to move to California while the application is open. And it says one borrower must currently reside in California. Before you begin your voucher application, be sure that one borrower meets this requirement. To view accepted documentation of residency, see the What You Need portion of the Dream for All site. If I'm not a first-time home buyer, you cannot buy. If I'm not a first generation, as long as somebody else on the loan is first generation, you can. Determination of income. So the counties in which you're eligible to purchase depend on your total annual income, and income limits vary by county. And the annual qualifying income is located on the Dream for All pre-approval letter. That's what we use. So that's the number that I put on your pre-approval letter as your qualifying income. And then it says my application status is in saved incomplete. That means you're not done. You can continue editing it, but it has not been turned into the state. So you need to make sure you're not in this status at 5 p.m. on April 29th, or you're not in the pool. All right, that's it for the FAQs. Hopefully that helped. Now I'm going to do the walkthrough on what it's going to take to register and what the screens are going to look like. So I feel like I'm giving you a recording like you would get of a ride at Disneyland so that you can preview what the ride is going to look like. So let's take you on the ride and show you what this is going to look like for you to get yourself registered. Everything I did was screenshots. I figured it was a lot easier because I didn't have to worry about getting kicked out or unable to get in while I was live. So this first page, the first thing I noticed on the top, it says vouchers will be issued in late spring and will continue until the program is closed, which is currently expected to take place by the end of 2024. What did that tell us? Not a lot, nothing. Like, we don't know when they're going to actually issue the vouchers. They've got to get all the people validated through the background private investigator process to make sure that everybody meets the criteria. But as you're on this page, right here on the left, you're going to see apply now. If you already have an account, log in. But this page, so that's where you click to log in, or to get started. But this page goes through and very clearly breaks down the stuff you're going to need. So you need an ID for every borrower. So you want to take a picture of it, have it saved to your computer. It's one of these. So driver's license, state issued ID, passport, military ID, foreign passport, approved visa, green card, or employment authorization document. You need to have your pre-approval letter from a Cal HAFA approved lender, okay? Proof of residency, a valid form of identification, and proof of where you live. So basically, the driver's license would serve as your ID, and it would serve as proof of where you live. But what if your driver's license shows a different address? So you need to show something else that gives you a current address. So that's a utility bill, a recent utility bill, a cell phone bill, an insurance bill, a voter registration card, or car registration. Voter registration, probably your easiest thing to get. You can go fill out a voter registration card at your library or your local city offices. If you updated your address and you don't have a utility bill or a cell phone bill or an insurance bill. So that's something to think about. Parent information, if applicable. So you need to give them your name, the name, date of birth. I didn't realize they want dates of birth. So they're going to want the date of birth of your parents, and they're going to want your parents' address. They don't say it here, but in another list, they said if your parents are deceased, they're going to want a copy of their death certificate. So I would be prepared with that. And then foster care documentation, if applicable, your foster care verification letter or verification form, or your court documents. And down at the bottom, it's got a link to the apply now button as well. You only need to apply now once. Apply now is how you get your login credentials. And then once you have the login credentials, you use the login button in every subsequent visit to the page. Okay, this is how you get your login credentials. This page timed me out 5 times this morning, 5 times. I couldn't even get to this page. Once I got to it and I filled out my information, it wouldn't actually send. And I put my information in here. I clicked create an account, and it looked like it was processing, and then it just took me right back to this page. So be prepared. You will know when it was successful because you get this screen. So if you don't get this screen, you're not waiting for an email. I waited a few minutes for an email because it looked like it had accepted my request. it had processed a bar across the top, and the bar went all the way to the right, and then it just stayed on this page. And I thought, okay. And then I thought about it and said, that's silly. Why would it keep me on this page? And so I had to try 3 more times today in order to get it to actually get to the next page, which says account created successfully. This is it. This is the end of this part until you get to the email. So there's nowhere else to go. Like it says, check your email for a temporary password to log in. You may experience a delay in getting this email. Please check your spam or junk folders if you don't see this email in your inbox. And then it gives you a link to the help center. You're like, well, where do I go from here? Go to your inbox. That's it. You are waiting for the email. Once you get the email, this is what the email looks like. Yes, I changed my temporary password to a real one, but I still blacked out my temporary password. By the way, if you want to email me, that's my email address, john@johnloneking.com. You're going to get this email that is going to be Dream for All voucher application account creation, and it will give you your temporary password. Here's something I noticed. They said that the email address as you type it is case sensitive. So if I would have capitalized John at the beginning of this, then when I go to log in later, I had to capitalize John. So if you all caps, lowercase, proper case, whatever you do, it is case sensitive on the email address. Be aware of that fact. Pay attention as you create your account that you know whether you usually do it in whatever version of capitalization, but it is case sensitive. Okay, once you get here, now what I tried to do is I tried to just go back to the page above where it says right here, log in. And I said, okay, cool, I got my temporary ID. I tried to log in. It didn't work because you have to follow this link. So I clicked on this link right here in the middle, right below my temporary password. I clicked on that link. That took me to a page, kind of weird. It actually asked me a question. Are you a CalHFA employee or are you a borrower looking to register for voucher? I kind of thought, man, that'd be cool if I clicked a CalHFA employee and I got to go behind the scenes, but I didn't because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't know if that, because my email address is registered as a preferred lender, maybe, I don't know, preferred loan officer, I don't know. My point is, it asked me that question. Once I answered that question, it took me here. I'm in. This is it. This is the promised land. This is the screen we've been waiting for. And so this now is walking us through the actual registration of your request. Now, there are 11 things you must certify, and I'm going to go through all 11 because there's one in there that I'm super excited about. So the first thing is you've got some links on the left side. I'll go through the links on the left side after I go through the actual voucher process. So right here in the middle of the screen, you're going to see where it says start your voucher application. You're going to click right there where it says start your voucher application. You're going to click right there. When you click there, it takes you to this page. You see on the top left, it says 1 of 11. And the first thing it says is before you get started, read and confirm your understanding of the Dream for All program guidelines. Okay? Okay, you hit okay. First thing it's going to ask you is, I understand that only one application may be submitted for a specific household. These are your certifications. This is where if you lie, they're going to kick you out. Now, I've gotten mixed information. CalHFA most recently said, hey, if it's a brother and sister who are living in one house in mom's house that mom rents, and they're both buying separately, that's okay, but they might need to upload an explanation letter. There's a spot to upload documents. I'll show you that in a minute. But specifically, if you are trying to buy one house and you've got a husband and a wife that might both qualify separately, this is the certification that you're saying, hey, we're only submitting one application for our household. Second certification, I certify no borrower has owned and occupied a primary residence during the previous 3 years, nor have they lived with a spouse who has owned and occupied a primary residence during the previous 3 years. This is your certification that everybody is a first-time home buyer. So that sentence, I'm going to read it again. I certify that no borrower, none of the people on this loan, have owned and occupied, that's the key, owned and lived in their primary residence anytime in the last 3 years. Nor has any of them lived with a spouse who owned and occupied their primary residence in the last 3 years. So you cannot have lived in a home that you owned, and you cannot have lived in a house your spouse owned. We've talked about this until I'm blue in the face, but I want to make it clear, this is your certification that that is true. Now it's the first generation. I'm going to cover this, but I'm not going to go too deep into it. We've talked about it a lot. at least one borrower on the application must be first generation. First generation is defined as a home buyer who has not been on title, held ownership interest, or have been named on a mortgage to a home on a permanent foundation and owned land in the United States in the last 7 years. So that's step one. Okay. Break down a couple of things there. It says that this one borrower themselves can have had nothing to do with a mortgage in the last 7 years, except if it was a manufactured home that was not on a permanent foundation or not on owned land. Okay. So Linda, I'll post Linda's comment here really quick. Linda says, hey, John, thanks for the clarity. Hey, Linda, thank you for the comment. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. See, you say nice things about me, you get your name on the screen. Okay. So that is the first thing, is that for the last 7 years. Now, the screen before says, hold on, let's fix this. Why is it not? I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I promise you I know what I'm doing. Okay, so here, and now let's go here. Beautiful. The screen before said for 3 years you cannot have lived in your home. But this screen says you cannot have had anything to do with a mortgage in 7 years. That's just for the one person who is a first-generation home buyer, and then their parents. So this is the second part. To the best of the home buyer's knowledge, their parents, biological or adoptive, do not have any present ownership in a home in the United States, or if they're deceased, did not have ownership interest at the time of their death in a home in the United States, or if you've been in foster care. We've covered that a lot. Okay. At least one borrower on the application must currently reside in California. They talked about that in the FAQs. In order to complete an application, you need to have your Dream for All pre-approval letter. We've talked about that. In order to qualify for a voucher, you need to prove your total qualifying income as determined by a CalHFA approved lender, which does not exceed the income limits in the county in which I intend to buy. So it's not about where you live. It's about the income limits of where you intend to buy. We've talked about that. This one is new information. I talked about this before. I thought it was true. Then I doubted myself. And now I question why I doubted myself. I thought, you know what? I've never made a mistake in my life. I thought I did once, but I was wrong. My dad taught me that years ago. If you don't get it, I'll write it out for you. Anyway, I had said a few months back that CalHFA updates their income limits every summer. The federal government publishes area median income stats in May. Fannie Mae publishes them in June. And historically, every year in July, early July, CalHFA updates their income limits. And so I've had people say, John, I think I'm exceeding the income limits. I had a client literally I was emailing with yesterday that said, John, I got a pay raise and it puts me over the income limit for the county I want to buy in. What are my options? And I said, well, let's see what happens. It's not going to hurt you to get a voucher. And if we know you don't qualify, you can cancel the voucher if you win. Let's submit it and see what happens. Well, this is why. Because in July, I expect the income limits to change. And the income limits are applicable based on what the income limit was the day you locked your loan. Now, we talked before about the fact that you have 90 days to use your voucher. And if you weren't part of the beginning of this, I've got more people that are joining. So I'm going to repeat something critical, which is we learned through the FAQs. If you watched the beginning of this live stream, we learned that CalHFA is going to give you a 90-day extension. It's not just 90 days. Within the last 30 days, you can request an extension. Within 24 hours, they'll reply. And I don't know what criteria they're going to use, but they're saying that they will grant one extension of another 90 days. So you got 6 months to shop for a home. And if your income limits if your income's exceeding the limit, I expect in July the income limits are going to go up. Now, let me be perfectly clear. It could go the opposite direction. The income limits could go down. It is based upon the average income in that county in the last 12 months. But with inflation, we've had wage inflation. Now, I haven't looked up all the statistics, so anecdotally, there has been a lot of increase in wages over the last year. Maybe not enough to keep up with the inflation that we've been having, but wages have continued to go up. People have continued to make more money. So I expect, cannot promise, I expect the income limits to increase in July. We do run the risk that the income limits go down, but I think we're going to have a little bit of a window because I think I'm going to know late May, early June, what the what Fannie Mae comes out with is income limits, and historically CalHAF has taken about a month to publish those. So you can have a month. If the income limits go down, y'all got a month to get in contract and lock your interest rate before CalHAF publishes it. And we don't have an exact date on when they publish it. But this is critical, really, really good information. Part of your certification is I understand the income limits are subject to change. Income limits will be determined based on the limits in effect at the time your interest rate is locked. That is music to my ears. I will move off of this topic, but that and the fact that you can have a 90-day extension are two new pieces of information that are really, really good news. And you should be glad that you're following me. So you got all this great info. All right. The next certification, I understand that the Dream for All Shared Appreciation Program registration portal, there's a lot of words. I understand the California Dream for All Shared Appreciation Program registration portal voucher program, they use program twice, will use a completely randomized selection process, otherwise known as a lottery, but they can't call it a lottery because the state of California has a lottery and the Lottery Commission got mad at CalHAFA for calling it a lottery. Even though I am filling out this pre-registration application, I acknowledge there's no guarantee my application will be selected to receive a Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan voucher, and that this registration application is only an entry for an opportunity to be selected. This process is conducted to ensure fairness and transparency in the selection process. Sincerely, the attorneys, because it's pretty clear this was written by an attorney. Okay, what they're telling you is just because you're submitting your request here, it's a completely randomized process. Now, it is not as randomized as you would think. I've told you many times. Go back to a webinar I did on Monday night, and I talk about the regions. They're going to give the money based on what region you live in now, even though the income limits are based on the region that you are buying in. So it is a random process, and that this pre-registration application does not guarantee that you will be selected to get a voucher. The next certification, if I am selected for a voucher, it is not guaranteed that I'll qualify for the shared appreciation loan or the Dream for All first mortgage. I've said this again, I'll repeat it again. What we're doing right now, what CalHAFA has asked me to do is to pre-approve you. And it's kind of like me trying to throw a dart at a dartboard that is on the other side of a football field in a windstorm. Chances of me hitting that dartboard square in the center are pretty slim because there's lots of variables that can change. The wind could flow from one direction to another. The relative humidity I got to take into account. It's hard for me to determine exactly what you're going to qualify for because your credit score can change, your income amount can change, your job situation can change, interest rates will change, hopefully down. Everybody do the interest rate dance to get lower interest rates, please. Pray to the feds that they start lowering interest rates by this summer. By the way, don't wait for the Fed to lower interest rates. They don't control mortgage rates. I'll explain more about all of that over the coming weeks, but the Fed does not control rates. So if you hear, oh my gosh, the Fed's going to lower rates on whatever, June 1st, you don't need to wait for June 1st. The mortgage industry heard the news like you did. And so we already built into the numbers the fact that the Fed is going to lower rates on that day. So just understand, the Fed doesn't control rates. When they lower rates, sometimes rates go up that day because what they say the day they lower rates is, yeah, and this is it. We're not lowering it anymore. Oh, because we already planned for this rate drop and we were kind of thinking you were going to tell us there were going to be more. Okay, so that's really how interest rates work. All of those variables can cause changes between now when you got your voucher pre-approval letter and when you have your voucher in your hand. But understand you can also change the borrowers. You can't change everybody. Like the primary borrower, I believe, is going to have to stay the same. So if you are thinking, hey, I might switch out, it's going to be me and my dad, or maybe me and my brother, and so I'm going to start by pre-approving with me and my dad. But later on, I might do me and my brother instead. Great. Make sure you are the primary, because I have a feeling CalHAFA is going to allow us to switch out the co-borrowers. Not so sure they're going to let us switch out the actual primary person. No, don't know that, but my gut says that would be a smart move for you to keep the person you know is going to be on the loan as the primary. All right, the last certification is that I certify I have all my documentation ready to go as specified in the What You Need section of the Dream for All portal landing page, and you have a link to that. And then you get into the application wizard. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger. Okay, and let's get rid of my banner. If you don't have my book, click the link over there. I'll give you a new one. Pull that link back up in a little bit. Okay, so in the application wizard, you have 6 sections that you are going through. Each section is on the left side. So you have borrower information, address information, demographic information, eligibility information, attestation, and then review and submit. I did not go past the first page because I'm not going to put fake information in. I don't want Cal Haffa getting mad at me because I'm falsifying information in there. I put no information in. So you're going to fill out the information here about your primary borrower: first name, last name, email address, date of birth, primary phone number. If you have a separate mobile number, put that there, and you're going to upload your government issued ID, and then you're going to add borrowers. Every borrower on the loan has to be added onto this screen. Okay, so that's critical. Now let's go to the next page, which is going to be address information. So this is your current address, and you're putting in the primary borrower's current address, where they live right now. Is it their mailing address or not? It's probably going to ask you then for the address information for the other borrowers. I'm sure it's going to. Again, I didn't go that deep into it. The next one is demographic information. They are going to be capturing information about ethnicity, race, gender. Do you currently have any student loan debt? This stuff is not going to, I've been told this is not going to impact the selection process. They're going to ask, have you ever served in the military? Are you the spouse, legal partner, parent, or child of a person who served in the United States military? Why are they asking for this stuff? There's a lot of reasons why they could be asking for this stuff. What I believe is they're trying to be able to show anybody who asks that they didn't do favoritism. So they asked for race, ethnicity, gender. Now, at one point on one of the Cal Haffa board meetings, they said that the demographic profile of the winners is going to match the demographic profile of the applicant pool, which means if 70% of the people that apply in this county are female, then 70% of the winners will be female. If 32% of the people that apply are of a particular race or ethnicity, then 32% of the winners will be of that race or ethnicity. I heard that once on one board of directors meeting. Never again. Every time after that, they said it is only based on the region and no other criteria. I don't know. They never rescinded their statement. They never said, oh, by the way, we are not going to use any selection criteria other than that, and that what we talked about before, we've changed our mind. I don't know, but they're asking you for it. I don't know what that means, but I know they're collecting the information. Now, I'm required to collect that information when you do a loan application. It's called HMDA, Home Mortgage Disclosure Act, and it's to make sure that we're not discriminating. That if I live in a region that has X number of people of a certain ethnicity, that my loans match similarly to what that breakdown is, and that I'm not redlining or providing only loans to a certain group of people. So it is about making sure that the outcome matches the input, but are they going to do that just statistically, or are they going to actually programmatically do that? I don't know, but they are collecting the information. All right, let's keep going here. The next one is your certifications. It's the same stuff you already certified. So now they're asking some extra information here, though. So they're saying, hey, my pre-approval, I certified that I received a California Dream for All pre-approval letter from a Cal Haffa approved lender specifically for this program, and that they verify I meet all of the guidelines, including income limit, first-time homebuyer status, and first-generation status. It is on this screen that you are uploading the PDF. So you can upload a PDF or a JPEG only. The second one, California residents. I confirm or certify at least one borrower is a California resident. You select which borrower. So if there's 3 people on the application, you are picking from that list of your applicants to say which one of the applicants is the California resident. You're going to give, they want to know information about expected household size. So I don't know why they're collecting that, because none of the rules have to do with household size, but they're asking for it. So you need to tell them, what is your expected household size? I can't see any ramifications of it. Tell the truth, don't lie. But I don't know why they're asking that. It makes me question what they're looking for when they're asking you that question. They need you to certify that all borrowers are first-time home buyers And then at the bottom is first generation home buyer information. And you're going to certify that at least one borrower is first generation. And you're going to pick from the list of all of the borrowers to say, this is the person that's first generation. Don't mess that up. Don't mess that up, because that's the piece that the private investigators are going to look at. They're going to say, hey, this person that you picked as a first generation home buyer, that's the one we're doing the background check on to confirm that they have had nothing to do with a mortgage in 7 years, that nothing to do with a home in the last 7 years, and that their parents do not currently own a home or didn't own a home at the time of their passing. Okay, so that piece, if you mess that up and pick the wrong person, there's a chance that the private investigator process is going to kick you out and not give you a shot, because they've said they're going to reach out. I see whoever posted a question. I'll get to it in a second. They said they're going to reach out with requests for additional information. But if it's really, really clear that your parent owns a home, or that you owned a home, that you own a rental property right now, that borrower does, they might just kick you out without asking you any questions. There's no point in wasting their time. It's clear that this person doesn't meet the criteria. Don't pick the wrong person. That's a big deal. All right, let's get to my next question. Annie, can you add additional borrower after the registration? Yes. CalHFA has told me that if you wanted to add a co-signer later, you can. A co-borrower, everybody on the loan must be owners of the property on title and must occupy the property. And if you add somebody later, that person's income is going to count towards the grand total. I had another client ask me, John, once I get my voucher, can I buy at a higher price because I have more people who are going to live there that are going to provide more income and I can qualify? The answer is no. As a matter of fact, the client said, I'm leaving that person off because with their income, we exceed the limit. The key is that at the time that you're registering now, you have to meet the income limits of the county you're trying to buy in. Now, nowhere in here did I see they're asking what county you're trying to buy in. I got the impression they were going to ask for that. Nowhere in here do I see that. It might have been on one of the additional pages that I didn't get to. Okay. But Annie, to your point, to your question, if you add somebody later, that's fine. As long as they're going to live in the property, as long as they're going to be on title, you can add an additional borrower. But that additional borrower's income adds to the primary borrower's income, and the total income cannot exceed the income for the county you're buying in. So just because you have a voucher doesn't mean you can add a borrower that causes you to exceed the income limits. As the certification said, you must meet the income limits of the county you are buying in that are in effect at the time your interest rate is locked. So hopefully, Annie, that answers your question. Annie or anybody else who has questions, feel free to post them. Kieran asked another question. How do step parents versus bio parents play into that? What if I was raised by a step family from a really young age and don't know my bio father, nor do I have his info? You are the reason why they hired private investigators, and I don't mean that in a negative way. They're clearly, so step doesn't count. What they can't care is bio or adoptive. So if your step parent owns a home, that's okay. We don't care. But your step parent doesn't own a home doesn't help us, because the system is not looking at step parents. They're looking at your biological parents or your adoptive parents. Now, someone who's adopted, are we looking at both? Are we looking at if your adoptive parents have never owned a home, does that qualify you? Or do we have to go back to your biological parents? I don't know. That's a really good question. I'm not sure that's how you're asking it. I'm sure that's not how you're asking it. But how I'm spinning it, I don't know the answer to if you're adopted, do we care about your biological parents? What they said in the certification here again is to the best of my knowledge. I don't like that sentence, because they said from the beginning when this first came through the CalHFA Board of Directors in their presentation back in, I think, October, maybe September, and they said, hey, we need to leave room for people like Kieran, who doesn't know their bio parents and doesn't know their status, doesn't know where they live. And so you can certify that to the best of your knowledge, because you know nothing about your biological father and you don't have any of his info. So you put that in there. You say, I don't know him. I don't have his information. But here's the deal. The private investigators are going to try and look. Now, why are they going to do that? Because they're afraid some people are going to lie. Some people are going to say, well, my mom owns a home, but my dad doesn't. And so I'm just going to tell them I don't know my mom. Because even though I talk to my mom every day, I want to buy a house and I want to get 20% in down payment assistance. And so I'm going to tell them that I don't know who my mom is, because that way they just won't look, and they're trying to root those people out. And so the bad news is, Kieran, they're going to look. They're going to look for your biological father. So if you are selected, then you're going to go through the process. That's where they might dig deeper and say, hey, we think we found this guy that's your biological father, and he owns a home. We need to get some more information. Can you go find a copy of your birth certificate, please, so that we can try and prove if this really is your biological father or not, or some school records or some whatever. You're going to have the ability to go back and forth with them a little bit to argue your point. But what I've been told is, even though you didn't know your father, if they find him and if he owns a home and they prove, or you can't unprove, that he is your father, you don't qualify as a first-generation homebuyer. All right, Kieran has a follow-up question. So in that scenario, I should only put my mother's information since I don't have information on my father, aka purposely to exclude my stepfather's info. I don't have a good answer. What I would do is, because it's asking you for name, date of birth, and current address, there's got to be a selection in there to say I have no knowledge. Like if you don't know, if they forced me to do it, I'd put my mom in there twice, because it won't let me move on to the next screen. I'm not telling you that's what CalHFA is looking for. I'm saying you have to get past that screen. There was some, I don't know if it was, I don't know if there's a chat function in there or something I saw on the page that kind of said, hey, if you have questions, click here. It wasn't an FAQ. So you might be able to submit a question into the portal system. That might be worth doing. If anybody gets that answer, please send it to me so that I can provide that information through this channel and share it with people. But you're right. I didn't see an easy way for you to say who your parent was and their contact information. None of the screens asked about your parent, which means it was probably in one of the subsequent screens that I didn't go to. All right. All right. So Fitzmore, good morning, John. As a lender, how far will a person's job site versus the area they're looking factor into approving their loan? Also, I hope they took your suggestion to assign a number to the people on their wait list. Well, thank you, first of all, for paying attention. And I hope they took my suggestion too, because I think it would be great if they assign people a number on the wait list. Now, as far as your question about distance, that is 100% a lender decision, and it has to do with reasonableness of commute. And it's underwriter discretion. I hate underwriter discretion. It's one of the nasty words in my industry, because underwriter discretion says, well, it's up to the underwriter's decision. If the underwriter doesn't agree, then they don't agree. So we're looking at what's reasonable. Now, our underwriters will look at commute patterns. I'll say in general, if you're taking public transportation, a couple hours of a commute each direction is about the extent. Like if you want to move to Roseville and you work in San Jose, you can take the Capital Corridor train. It could be, an hour and a half or so each direction taking the train, but I think that's reasonable. So that it's about what's reasonable. If you're driving in bumper to bumper traffic and you're driving 3 hours each direction for 6 hours of commute, working an 8-hour day, that's not reasonable. So we've got to look at reasonableness. There is not a distance answer. There isn't a simple answer. It's going to be up to that underwriter, and it's up to the lender, myself. So definitely use me, because I'm going to present the case ahead of time to the underwriter. Because here's the thing about the mortgage world. The more the underwriter has to guess, the more suspicious they are. The less they have to guess, because the information was provided in advance, the more they accept the information. And so if I submit your file without talking about the commute, they're going to raise red flags and they're going to be super suspicious of anything we tell them. But if I tell them ahead of time, if I give them the answers to the questions they haven't asked, they don't need to think about it. They just say, oh, that's true. I was going to ask that question. I hadn't even gotten there yet. And you just answered it for me. Check. I'm done. It's about thoroughness and preparation that can make the biggest difference in situations like this. All right, let's go back and keep going through. We're getting close, I promise. All right, you've done your certifications on eligibility. You're going to do an attestation. Here's something interesting, and I did not click on it. I just saw it right now. So this will be for my next Monday night's live. So every Monday, I'm doing a live stream from 7 to 8 p.m. and I'm going to show you this. But certifications, I certify I'm the only applicant applying for this household. I certify total income for all borrowers was determined by my lender not to exceed the program. And there's a button that says income calculator. Now, I don't know if that's the income limits calculator or if they're actually calculating your income, because clearly they say here, as determined by my lender. So it's the lender's determined income they care about. I'm your lender. I determined your income. I understand income limits are subject to change, and the income limits used for qualifying are the limits in place now, and that when I execute a purchase contract, they reserve and lock your loan. We care about the income limits at that time, and they will vary based on location. We've talked about that. I understand the pre-registration portal is completely randomized. Even though I filled this out, there's no guarantee, et cetera, et cetera. And I understand that if I'm awarded the voucher, I will work. Okay, I understand if I'm awarded a Dream for All voucher, it is not guaranteed that I will get a mortgage, and I will work with a CalHFA lender to confirm I meet with all of the eligibility requirements. All right, let's wrap this up. So they got to review and submit. Once you review all of the information, you submit it, that sends it in. Once you've done that, you're back to the home screen. This is what the home screen looked like. Now, because the first time you saw the home screen, it had the button in the middle saying get started. I already started. So it shows I'm 0% complete because I haven't filled in any of the information. Oops. All right. So on the left side, you're going to see a button for eligibility information. That is the information we just went through. Your application history. So it walks through the process of every step that you've taken in the application process. Application tasks. This is where I expect them to come back to you with questions. You have a task. We need you to prove X. We need you to document Y. This is where I expect that you will see tasks assigned to you. You need to be checking this regularly. Check your email regularly once the portal closes and check this page regularly. I would check both, okay? And then uploaded documentation. So this is where the history of all the documentation that you've uploaded is listed so you can see what you've submitted into their system. The final thing I'll tell you is they actually created this with 6 different languages. And so you've got English, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, and Tagalog. So you can click any of these buttons and it will change the page to match that language so that it will help you in language for people with multiple languages on whatever is most comfortable for you. That's it, gang. I've covered a lot. We spent almost an hour together. I've had a good 30 people here most of the time on different channels. I really appreciate it. I am still here for a minute with questions. I got a lot of questions throughout the presentation. If you have questions right now, and I see them already coming in, if you have questions, start posting them now, because as soon as I get to the end of the questions, I'm going to go eat my lunch because it's 12:05. All right. And if, by the way, if you're not watching live and you have questions, post them in whatever platform you're watching in, and I'll get back to those later. Finally, if you don't already have my book, you can click this QR code to get my book that tells you everything about the program, or at least everything that I knew as of 2 weeks ago. And in the link down below, you should see a link to starting the application process with me or scheduling an appointment with me. So if you want to get the process started, sorry, Kieran, I'm going to get you in just a second. If you want to get the process started, let's do a smaller one. This is how you get the process started. You can download a mobile app, submit your application, get started soon, okay? Because we want to be able to get you that approval letter before the registration portal ends on Monday, the 29th, and you can see all the information you need. All right, Kieran, how are funds dispersed? For example, if a builder needs an earnest money deposit of $15,000, is there a way to use Dream for All funds to avoid coming out of pocket, since earnest money can go towards down payment anyways? Unfortunately, no. No money is dispersed, not a single penny is dispersed ahead of time. So any money you need for earnest money deposit, any money you need for inspection fees, appraisal fees, credit report fees, all of those things must come out of your pocket. You can get them as a gift from family. You can take a loan against your 401k. You can sell pharmaceuticals on the street. Just kidding. Don't do that. Okay. But you need to come up with that money yourself. No Dream for All money is dispersed until literally the day before you become the homeowner, in which case the first mortgage lender will disperse all of the money to the title company. The title company holds that money. So we disperse the money for the main loan and the Dream for All loan. The title company holds that money, and then they will record the change of ownership from the seller to you, and then they'll release the money to the seller appropriately as as expected. There is no access to money early. You cannot use any of the money ahead of time. All earnest money deposits, appraisal fees, credit report fees, inspection fees, all must come out of your pocket. Now, you can get a refund of that money you paid up front. I had a lot of clients last year that got thousands of dollars back as a refund because we covered all of the down payment, all the closing costs, everything, but they had to advance some money. And so they're allowed to get that money back. You can't get extra money out of Dream for All. You can't pay off credit cards. You can't pay off car loans. You can't get extra money, but you can use the Dream for All money to refund advances that you have paid for applicable closing costs that can be included as part of the normal loan process. Inspections are one thing you can't include, but the appraisal fee, the earnest money deposit, the credit report fee, you can get 100% of your money back for those. All right, my last question. I got 25 people, 26 people here right now. So if you have a question, post it now, because as soon as I finish answering this question, I'm out of here. All right, so Annie asks, for expected numbers of household size, will it affect your application, such as the income limit, their credit score, et cetera, even if you're the only one applying on the voucher? No. I shake my head and say no, kind of cautiously, because the rules are the rules are the rules. The income limits for this program have zero requirement regarding household size. The rules clearly say I'm using qualifying income. So if you have 10 people living in your house, the rules say I don't have to ask you how many of those people are working. I don't have to ask you what the income is for those people. And so to say, will it affect your application? I understand the question. I don't understand why they're asking for it, other than statistical, be able to say later, hey, we helped X number of people get into a home. Well, if each home had 5 people in it, they get to say they helped 5 times as many people become homeowner or become to get a home. I don't know. I don't know what they're collecting the information for. It makes me a little nervous in the back of my mind, but the rules are the rules, and there is nothing about credit score. I don't care about anybody else's credit score. I don't care about anybody else's income. All that matters is who is on the loan application and that person's credit and that person's income. So, Annie, it's a great question. I wish I could have better answers. I'm going to try and reach out to CalHFA, see if they'll tell me why they're collecting that information. I'm betting it's for statistical purposes. The truth is they control the money. And if he who controls the money, she who controls the money gets to make the rules. That's another thing my dad taught me a long time ago. He or she who has the money, they're in charge. Well, CalHFA in this case has the money. And so they get to set the rules. And if they want to know your household size, you can't move forward unless you answer the question. You could give whatever answer you want, but I suggest you tell the truth. There's nothing I can see as a negative outcome to this. I don't know what I don't know, but nothing I can see that would be an issue. All right, that looks like my last question. So if you have a question, I'm going to talk for another 10 or 15 seconds, and then I'm going to bail. So guys, I am interviewing to be your lender. So whether you have already gotten a pre-approval letter with a lender or you're looking for a pre-approval letter, I am interviewing to be your lender to help you through this process. Hopefully through my videos, you are seeing my value and how knowledgeable I am. But I ask for one more thing. I ask you to help me spread the word. Help me share this information. Take the video you're watching right now and share it with your friends. Don't just, by the way, share it on social media, but copy and text a link to your 3 best friends or family members that you think should be looking into this program. Just make sure they live in a different county. As long as they don't live in the same county as you, they're not competing for the same money. If they live in the same county as you, I don't know. I think maybe I wouldn't tell my friends about it. Okay, tell your friends about it. Tell your friends about me. Please help me spread the word. I am a for-profit organization. I give out as much information as I possibly can. I will help anybody, even if you're not using me. But the truth is, I get paid for people to use me. And so my income comes from doing mortgages, and I do all types of mortgages, not just Dream for All. I do lots of different down payment assistance programs. I do lots of non-down payment assistance programs. So if it's mortgage related, I can likely do it, even refinancing home equity loans and lines of credit. And so I just hope that if you value my information, you will help me to not only help you accomplish your goals, but in return, help me accomplish mine. And that is to grow my mortgage business and my visibility and the people that I'm reaching through my messaging. So gang, it doesn't look like we have any other questions. Stay tuned. I'm going to continue to give you great information. Subscribe to the channel, send the information out to everybody that you know. And Linda says, LOL, great advice. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. By the way, if you need a recommendation to a great realtor, I know a lot of great realtors. If you don't have one in your area or you don't know one, I can connect you with an absolutely amazing realtor pretty much anywhere up and down the state of California. And please stay tuned for future installments where I'll be providing more information and guidance on a lot of the details after you've closed the portal and we're waiting. I'm going to teach you a lot more about the home buying process and things that you need to know. So thank you very much, guys. Again, if you say good things about me, you get your name on the screen. Linda says, great pitch, John. You're a gem in the industry. Linda, I appreciate that very, very much. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day. Share this with everybody you know, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.